Good morning. My name's Candice Spence and I'm GM of Marketing at the AFA. And look, I'm really excited to introduce you to today's webinar titled Tech for the Modern Advisor, Digital Innovation to Remove Friction and Enhance Your Advice Value. It's brought to you in partnership with Advice Intelligence. And today you're going to hear from Advice Intelligence's CEO, Jackie Henderson. So we're delighted to have Jackie here live today. Look, Jackie's got 15 years experience in private wealth, coupled with a professional background in the telco and technology industries, which sparked her venture into fintech. Jackie is passionate about goals-based advice, customer experience, human behavioral science, and machine learning, all of which are founding principles of the innovative AI software. In today's webinar, Jackie will showcase insights and why tech for our business is crucial for the success of the modern advisor. Jackie will show you how to find the sweet spot in amongst digital innovation and a hybrid advice model that is helping advisors to remove friction from their advice process and demonstrate the value of their advice through an innovative client experience. Now, before I hand over to Jackie, just quick housekeeping. Today's webinar is worth 1 CPD hour, and we'll send out details of this within the next week. We'll also answer questions at the end of Jackie's presentation. Please use the Zoom QA feature, and as you can see on the diagram on the slide. Now, Jackie, thanks so much for putting this important information together. Welcome, and I'll hand over to you and see you at the end.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining, everyone, and good morning. I'm going to chat to you about tech for the modern advisor and digital innovation that's helping to remove friction from the traditional advice process and help to enhance advice practices' value proposition. So the learning outcomes are really around gaining insight into the array of technology innovations that are available to the advice industry. Second one is how to demonstrate the value of advice within a dynamic consumer, regulatory, and technological environment. The third one is understanding the range of advice models available and hone in on what I love is the hybrid advice model, which is around digital and human. So let's look at the market landscape. So right now, digital finance adoption is predicted to increase GDP by 3.7 trillion globally. So that's according to a latest McKinsey Global Institute report. Now, digital advice makes up a portion of that digital finance adoption. And then if we look at the triangulation of three elements that really I see driving our next iteration of advice and an advice boom that's ahead, especially over this next decade. The first element is consumer demand. I speak to advisors a lot, and consumer demand is highest it's ever been. And we've got consumers that have unmet advice needs. According to ASIC, it's 50%, but I was recently at a Congress, and Investment Trends put up the fact that their statistics are now saying that unmet advice needs amongst consumers is now sitting at around 62%. So that's actually increased. So we've got the consumer demand as one factor. The second one is around regulatory change. We've had a number of changes over the last decade, and we've got a quality of advice review that has been proposed, which is going to introduce more changes to the industry. The third one is around technological advancements. So we've seen consumer technology adoption basically do this with smartphone technology, life apps. We all run our lives via smartphone apps, our online banking, how we order a taxi, how we order food. It's all done through life apps now. So it's looking at the technological advancements and how they're being applied as well within the industry. And then if we look at the top considerations around when consumers are seeking advice, the number one thing that they're looking for is the advisor's ability to really understand them, their life aspirations, their goals, and really talk to them in a way that they understand. So those factors are more important than costs, trust, the qualifications of an advisor. So these are all driving factors of the next market landscape over the next decade. Then if we look at the tech gap that sits between consumers and the way we've delivered advice traditionally. So we're still delivering financial advice via paper and PDFs, which is quite static, it's not dynamic, it's not data-driven, whereas consumers are living in a world where data drives their life apps, they run everything from their smartphones, and we really need to look at how we bridge the gap between delivering financial advice in this traditional paper-based way to the way consumers are now consuming products generally, products, services. We also need to look at how we can leverage technology to service the consumer markets, the broader markets that exist within the marketplace. If we look at traditionally, we've looked at established affluence and established mass markets as the traditional, consumers of financial advice and markets that, advisors service. But there's emerging affluence and emerging mass markets that have, high net worths and they've got high incomes and they've got this high propensity to seek advice. So if we look at the emerging affluent, the average income is $300,000 a year, and 71% have a really high propensity to seek financial advice, along with the emerging mass market. So there's this huge high propensity to seek advice, but along with that is a high propensity around tech adoption, wanting digital tools, wanting their plan digitally, on a smartphone app. So we need to look at the way in which technology can be applied to service these consumer markets, so broader markets, broader reach around financial advice delivery. So let's look at tech and regulatory innovation. There's some new advice models emerging under the newly regulated advice. So with the proposed changes that Michelle Levy has put forward, it's also going to help these new models continue to evolve and innovate the advice industry. So if we look at our space, we've got this hybrid personal advice model where it's more comprehensive advice. We look at the client's entire financial position, their life goals, provide that comprehensive advice, but also provide it in a scaled format. But providing this high-touch hybrid of human advisor and tech experience. So combining the two and giving their clients better tools, better client portals, better apps to basically track and manage their advice and have that transparency and collaboration between advisors and their clients. Because digital acts as that conduit between the advisor, the human relationship, and the way in which consumers are now managing their lives, which is through smartphone apps, etc. We also have other models which are traditionally like your Six Parks and Stock Spots, which are digital product advice, which is really B2C type distribution model that's largely designed around automated investing and superannuation products. Now, some of these companies also provide a hybrid of human, where if a client goes through a digital journey, there's a human, as phone support or chat to help support the product or service delivery. So they're the models that really we'll see start to emerge. And we'll also see digital personal advice start emerging, where technologies like ours will start evolving and enabling advice like simple strategies like contributions to be delivered in a B2C type environment. So technologically enabling advice businesses to also deliver their services digitally. So they're some of the models that we'll see start evolving and continuing to emerge. So if we look at these models, we've got this hybrid, which is really servicing that atypical client, A class sort of typical client, if we want to class clients into A, B, C, D type segments. This is this hybrid of human and tech. We also, with technology, can enable phone chat type advice. So virtual, being able to deliver to BC type clients, phone and chat scope type advice. So specific problems or scope type advice being able to be delivered in this phone chat scenario, where it can then be recorded and delivered to the client. Then self-directed. So the CD clients typically delivered a pure digital experience that's self-service, that they can access on their mobile device. And then other white labeled tools such as calculators or whatever that can be embedded on the advisor's website. So that's the type of technology and the way in which that technology will be able to service the different types of market segments. So let's look at unleashing the digital advice opportunity into how advice businesses can engage more clients, can automate aspects of your advice process, removing some of the friction that exists, and really save time to help you to grow your financial advice practice. So let's look at engaging more clients. We really need to look at how we empower consumers to interact more seamlessly and flexibly with financial advice. We have a very complex advice process, and that tends to be a bit of a barrier in engaging clients to want to, pursue the financial advice process and really get engaged in it. So we need to start also bridging that gap around consumer expectations. This is around digitising financial plans for today's Me Life app type society that we live in. So financial plans delivered via smartphone apps, data-driven, on demand, that can track utilising live data to the client's advice to their life goals, which is a tangible outcome that the client's usually seeking to achieve. The second aspect is around the consumer experience. So delivering financial advice collaboratively and in real time. Collaborative planning tools that help you to co-create your advice with your client, have a co-responsibility or a co-relationship involving the client as part of the planning process. Having that more interactive client-facing modeling, and then off the back of that, being able to instantly produce a digital statement of advice. We live in a world of instant gratification. We don't want clients waiting 3 months for a financial plan to be delivered. We need to start meeting some of that instant gratification around consumers' expectations. And then digitising advice. So moving planning businesses from paper-based manual advice processes into the digital world. So digitising the advice process, automating aspects around client data, and also compliance obligations, which help remove that friction that exists within the value chain and really save your time around the administrative aspects of compliance. So let's look at the value that consumers place on SOAs. There's an engagement level around consumers with statements of advice. In research that we did over a period of time, we essentially found that 24% of our advisors' clients actually didn't read their statement of advice. We found 43% were actually confused by the content and the language of the statement of advice. And 45% actually wanted to be part of the planning process, but they found it was all done behind the scenes and in the back office. So this is this engagement piece and this value aspect that consumers place on statements of advice. Then if we look at the sweet spot of advice, and the engagement is really around the intangible value. Like these aspects, these 6 aspects are the intangible value that consumers value most around the financial advice process. These are exploring potential possibilities for their future. So helping them explore what is actually, possible. Solving specific problems. So they usually come with specific problems that need to be scoped, and let's break it down and solve specific problems over certain time horizons. The third one is coaching their mindset, their behaviors, and keeping them accountable, because usually these are the blocks that are stopping them from moving forward. Helping them to achieve their life dreams and goals. The fifth one is around transforming their situation. So we're all addicted to home renovation projects like the block. We all like seeing the transformation process. This is what consumers value a lot, is the transformation process, taking them from where they are to where they actually want to be in their future, and the transformation that they'll experience, that intangible transformation. And then being able to help them make really valued, informed decisions, helping them to understand all aspects and all possibilities so that they can make informed decisions. So that's the actual value consumers really place on financial advice. It's not a piece of paper or a document that they put in their drawer, because that's not the value. The value is around these intangible aspects. Other items that have been around the tangible value of advice, from the Net Wealth Advisable Australian report, we found that innovativeness, digital and technology capabilities, these are really high priority items for clients, and that client experience. So client experience is really becoming the battlefield. There's so many digital experiences out there, and if you're looking for a product or a service, the one that takes you on the best client experience and service is the one that's going to win. So it's really the new competitive battlefield. So let's look at the evolution of the advice client experience. We really need to move from the old world of what we call 100 BC paper technology, moving from this paper world and PDFs into a more new interactive digital means of delivering advice. It's making it digital and interactive, making it more in line with the way consumers consume products and services, which is through life apps and online means. So the next aspect is around automating your advice process. And let's look at really what that means. So automating your advice process and relating that to the actual tech stack that you use within your advice practice. So there's really 5 things that your advice tech stack should do. The first thing is it should centralize your client data. So having a good CRM that centralizes and makes all that data accessible to anyone within your organization, whether or not that's compliance or even for external auditing. The second one is provide digital client-facing advice tools. So being able to have tools that the client there feels then part of the advice process. The third one is automating compliance obligations so that you move the friction out of your advice process. The fourth one is an integrated, more open API tech stack where you can integrate with other amazing technology that exists and data, because data is the new currency. The fifth one is highlighting the value of your advice. You need your tech to be able to help you to articulate your value and justify your fees to your clients. So they're the 5 aspects around and what your tech stack should help you do. So if we look at the layers of what your tech stack should really be doing, we'll start with the foundations, which is around data storage. So having cloud storage where all your information is central and secure, having a good CRM system that can manage all your client data. So they're the foundations. If we move to the next element is around cloud office. So having your email and your office environment in the cloud. Your social media, your marketing automation platform, all your newsletters, having technology that also provides these services, your revenue management, managing your ongoing services, and then your workflows and tasks. So the cloud office is your second layer of what your tech stack should do. The next one is your invest tech. So if you're using investment platforms and managed accounts, etc., the technology that links with your invest tech. And then that invest tech connecting up with your client data as well as your advice tech. So if we look at then the next layer above that is your advice tech. So having cash flow budgeting type tools, virtual meetings, digital fact find and data capture. So the way in which you capture data being much more efficient and easy for your clients. Digital SOAs and digital signatures and the cybersecurity aspects around multi-factor authentication. And then being able to do scenario modeling and strategies. But doing that in a way that's client-facing, that helps you to articulate the advice that you're providing clients. Now, the top fifth element is really around the technology provider that you choose should also have a future roadmap. We've got Industry 4.0. We're sitting in Industry 4.0 right now, where we've got innovative technologies like machine learning, we've got blockchain, crypto, all of these technologies are redefining industries. So having a clear roadmap around your technology provider and so that they're actually innovating and providing you with services that are going to help you to continue to evolve your service offering. So technologies like AI machine learning, a client app so that the client can actually collaborate with you, data-driven financial advice where a client can actually track a live financial plan. Also delivering digital services where you as an advice business could start looking at how you deliver advice through a digital journey. So simple advice strategies like contributions or rebalancing, being able to deliver that as a purely digital service to your lower value client base. So having that future advice tech roadmap is really important for the technology providers that you partner with. So let's look at the 5 steps of an engaging and flexible digital advice process. So what should your advice process do in a digital world? Well, 1, it should capture client fact find data digitally. So you eliminate all the data entry, etc., that sits around client data, and it should flow through to all your tools within your platform, like your modeling tools, your product comparators, etc. The second one is having a goals planning and prioritization tool, having that as your second step in your advice process. Consumers, we did extensive research, and the most important element that consumers want around advice is helping to achieve their goals and life aspirations, and to make that inspiring and an engaging experience. So if you can have your goals planning session with your client that is really quite an engaging experience, it's a really good way of getting to understand someone and understanding their motivations and what is driving them. So having a really good goals planning and prioritization tool and step in your advice process, I think, is really important. And we've seen that be very successful with the clients that we work with. The next one is around client-facing modeling and strategy. So again, clients don't want their advice done in the background. They really want to understand it. We live in an information age where we have information at our fingertips. My phone is half my brain half the time. So we need to be able to share that information. So model out scenarios and explain advice in a way that the consumer feels that they can understand it visually, but also in a collaborative way. Fourth one is producing instant digital SOAs and having that digital sign-off. So making your advice production process really efficient. So your client-facing modeling is building your statement of advice in the background so that you can then produce that very, very quickly off the back of meeting your clients. The fifth one is around tracking client progress and their ongoing service arrangements. So being able to have all that being tracked and in a transparent way that you've got the same information that your clients have. So how can you deliver more value today via technology? Well, here's 7 points that I'll share with you around how you can deliver more value. Really enhance your value proposition around financial advice and your advice delivery. Well, number one is dreams and goals. So make exploring and prioritizing clients' life goals an inspiring, engaging experience, as I mentioned in the previous slide. That is really important for the client. Second one is the scenario modeling. So providing live real-time scenario modeling with clients that explores all their future possibilities and really articulates and demonstrates the value of the advice that you're providing, and so that you can justify your fees. The third one is helping to solve client problems. So showing them how your advice is actually putting them in a better position via these scenario modeling tools. Being able to model out various scenarios that actually shows which one is going to give them the best outcome in relation to their goal achievability. The fourth one is really understanding your clients, understanding their behaviors, their mindset, their values, what type of personality they are. And that's leveraging like behavioral profiling tools. Really understanding clients is important, and being able to really sort of remove blocks or manage certain behaviors with clients that help to create a successful outcome in relation to what it is that they're trying to achieve. The fifth one is being able to deliver advice fast. So deliver your advice via a more instant digital statement of advice that can be delivered to your client's portal, which has then that ability to do digital reviews, digital sign-off, use multi-factor authentication to keep it quite cyber secure. And so that's being able to deliver advice fast, the way in which consumers are now expecting. The sixth one is being able to coach clients. So coaching their mindset, their emotions, and their behaviors. So once you understand your clients, behaviors, you can actually start working with them and incorporating this coaching aspect into their advice journey and even into your advice process. So having that coaching element, because that's what, that's that intangible value that consumers are wanting around financial advice. And the last one, number 7, is being able to track and optimize. So track and optimize your client's advice. So being able to, track their cash flow, their investments, how their portfolio is performing, all in relation to their goals and life aspirations. So leveraging, data, live data feeds that help track and optimize the plan. So taking from, a static paper-based document into this digital realm where actually financial plans can be data-driven. So let's break those down, each one of those elements, into the actual technology. So the way in which our technology works. So you can utilize digital tools which help capture client fact-find information, their risk profile data, and take them through a really inspiring goals planning experience. So having like a widget that sits on your website that captures the client data and makes it an engaging way of sharing data. Then for you as an advisor to basically get that notification of when that data comes through, of that prospective lead or client, being able to access and review that client data anywhere, anytime, and then auto merge that into the CRM to create a baseline. but also being able to then show a reward to that client of their first iteration of, this is your financial position. This is you. This is how, your finances, your current position is going to help, that relates to your goal achievability. It also helps to save and minimize data entry. So with this data coming through into the platform in this digital format, it actually flows through. It flows through into tools. It flows through into product comparators. So you eliminate a lot of the, double entry of data within your advice process. The second one is this goals planning and prioritization. So having an engaging tool that helps you to prioritize your client goals. So making sure what's high, medium, low in terms of priority. So we've all got different goals, but, certain things might be way out there things versus, really essential goals that, that are non-negotiable. So being able to work with your clients and be able to prioritize those. Then be able to capture the data around the goal. So the time horizon, the amount of the goal, how many years that goal is going to spread over. And then being able to trade them off. So things like a house renovation. So house renovation might have a 50% chance of being achieved based on their current circumstances, but applying some, advice strategies or putting a fund into a certain growth investment recommendation might increase the chances of that goal from 50% to 70%. So it's doing that trade-off conversation, or even reducing the amount of the home renovation from 300,000 to 200,000 to help it be achievable. So it's that trade-off element. The third one is client-facing modeling and strategy. So being able to visually demonstrate how your advice strategies and product recommendations help them to achieve their goals. So you might have, specific investment recommendations that is taking their goal, their retirement goal from, say, 49% of being achieved to 90% being achieved. So being able to actually visually demonstrate that and compare those scenarios from their baseline. So client, this is you on when you came and saw us, and this is you based on my advice. And we've done 5 different scenarios, and we've determined that scenario 3 is actually putting you in a better position. And then being able to stress test those scenarios with the client. So really being able to simulate, okay, if an economic event was to happen, like a GFC, or a life event, if you were to lose a partner or something tragic was to happen, that we could simulate these type of life events and the impact on the client's cash flow, on their net wealth, and on their goals. And then being able to compare these various scenarios and then, really use these visual tools to showcase how your advice is putting them in a better position. This is a compliance requirement around best interests. And what better way to do it than these type of visual tools that help you put them in a better position? The fourth aspect is around being able to produce instant digital statements of advice so that clients can digitally sign off on them. So being able to, off the back of doing different scenario modeling with a client, be able to recommend an advice scenario, but have the actual statement of advice being automatically built in the background. So all the product recommendations, all the advice strategies, and all the text and everything that is inputted into a statement of advice is actually being built in the background as you do scenario modeling with the client, making that advice process frictionless and simple, and then being able to deliver that advice in a way in which the consumer now expects, which is more instantly. The fifth one is being able to track client progress and ongoing services. So like with our technology, we take the client's baseline. So this is you when you saw us versus the recommended scenario that was provided in the last piece of advice off the back of the statement of advice. And the last one is being able to have a live baseline. So it's actually data driven. So you've got investment, super pension data, all feeding this live baseline. And it's tracking, it becomes a live financial plan. So being able to then proactively manage the client's cash flow and investments and their goals. Simple automation of the ongoing service arrangements and fees, and be able to have that collaboration between this information being delivered into the client portal and you as an advisor being able to see this information as well. So that transparency that sits between client and advisor. So the roadmap for digital advice, as I see it, is really around 3 levels of automation, which will continue to evolve, especially as the data set grows. We've seen Elon Musk in his drive for the driverless car, and the different levels of automation that the driverless car has gone through over the years since the innovation around driverless technology has evolved. We'll see the same thing with financial advice. We've got this manual advice model that exists, and most of the industry is still operating in this realm where advice is being delivered via paper, and we whiteboard strategies up on a whiteboard to share and try and explain advice to our clients. So we're going to really move from this partially automated world into where we see technology innovation today and over this next 12 months, which is really this hybrid model, this hyper-personalized model where an advisor and a client can collaborate, digital planning tools, that live scenario modeling that I've spoken about, and then having that digital interactive financial plan that's data-driven, that's dynamic, it's live with clients' investment data, their cash flow, and it links up to the outcome, the tangible outcome that the client's trying to achieve, which is their life goals. And then the client can access that through their app. As we move forward, we'll certainly see, this technology continue to be enhanced. So having digital tools that you can provide your clients, a digital journey or a digital advice experience, where you can service, a broader market, from your A clients through down to your CD clients, in really helping support, delivering your service in a broader way. But we'll definitely see machine learning have its role in being able to optimize advice strategies and the client's goals. So where machines can do thousands of different, permutations and calculations, more so than the human brain, we need to start leveraging technology to be able to do that. And having that data-driven financial plan. So that's where we'll see technologies like machine learning start playing a role within the advice process and helping to support advisors to do these, massive amounts of calculations, and the way in which we're leveraging data to do predictive advice strategies. So people like me type scenarios where we can take data, the machine can read it, and then basically say, well, based on, this client's circumstances, these would be the recommended scenario or strategies that the client should have applied to their advice. So we'll definitely see that start to evolve over the years. And so the last point is around save time and grow. So what is the outcome of digitizing your advice process? Well, digital certainly saves time and costs for SOA production and administrating compliance. So we'll see paper, this has been based on data that exists within the marketplace around the traditional manual advice process in delivering advice via paper versus our clients in the way in which they're delivering digital advice. So taking it down from 14.6 hours on average and 3,500 nearly cost to do a comprehensive piece of advice down to 6 hours and $1,398. So that's the type of cost savings and reducing all that friction that exists within the advice process and making advice far more efficient. Even like on the scaled advice, 8.1 hours down to less than 2 hours. I've had clients, have spoken at client conferences, and I've had clients say, "Oh my God, I've produced advice in an hour. I can't believe this." So it's really exciting the way in which digital is going to help advisors to save time and cost, certainly around like the SOA production. So when it comes to innovation, an ounce of execution is worth more than a ton of theory. So I love this quote because I believe that we can talk about this till the cows come home. Theory, has its place, but it's all in the execution. It's all around, okay, giving technology and innovation a bit of a go and trying to do things a bit differently. We've very much as an industry sort of stuck with the status quo. And I think it's time that we need to start looking at new and innovative ways in which we can deliver financial advice. I know around some of the work that I've worked on the video SOA, we can deliver advice via video SOAs, and ASIC put out a statement yesterday saying that they're technology neutral in the way in which advice should be delivered. And so we need to start looking at that and not sticking with the status quo of delivering advice via paper and statements of advice, and looking at the way in which we can use digital and video to deliver our advice. Because if we look at consumers, most consumers, 80% are visual. 80% of consumers actually retain information in a visual way. So we need to make advice a bit more visual. So just a bit about AI. Our reason for being is to help advisors to deliver inspiring and empowering wealth management experiences and help you solve your clients' problems. So we believe that financial well-being is one of the most powerful things that any Australian can experience, and we need more advisors with better tools to be able to help articulate that. So that's a bit about our platform. We've got a broad, many features within the platform, from CRM to strategy modeling to product research. It's a very comprehensive platform. We've spent over 6-7 years building out the technology, and we really want to help advisors move into this next realm of digital. We also have a white paper that we will share off the back of this webinar. So go to our website, you can download the paper, it will be shared through the AFA. But you can also jump onto our website and actually see this type of technology in action. So yeah, that's pretty much the presentation. We can hand over to Q&A.
Well, thanks, Jackie, for that really important, interesting presentation. And look, let's jump into Q&A. Anyone that has any questions, please, enter in that Q&A icon there in the spot. Look, we've got one from James. Jackie, how can we adopt this? Many software providers only do 1 or 2 parts well, but then are horrible at other areas, right? How does this work with the cost to and actually this might be 2 pieces. How does this work with the cost to the client, as more touch points and more setup means higher costs to the client?
Yeah, so there's a lot of fintechs. I mean, we have a complex industry. We have a complex supply chain. So we do have a lot of facets, and a lot of tech companies are building out, one piece in the puzzle, not the entire platform. We've pretty much got the incumbent like Iris that have been, an incumbent for a long time. In terms of innovation and that roadmap forward in propelling the industry forward, I don't know if that's going to be the right technology that's going to help this industry. But the way in which you can, leverage open APIs. So being able to have open APIs that have different technologies that can connect. So that would probably be the main thing of being able to solve, is having more connectors, being able to connect up technology and ensuring the tech stack has an open API to be able to do that. And if we look at the second part, so how does this work with the cost to the client as more touch points and more set up as higher costs? So, I mean, for us, we've been developing out an end-to-end advice process. So I can only speak from an end-to-end process where we're making it more efficient to capture data, then do the various scenario modeling and strategy modeling and investment recommendations, etc., and then being able to produce advice. We're trying to lower the cost that's passed on to the client, because we have so much cost in the value chain that cost is constantly being passed on to the consumer. So we as a technology are looking at the end-to-end advice process. Hence, this technology takes so long to build. Like, we've been building this for over 6 years. So it's really looking at a provider that can look at all the different friction points within your advice process and how they're actually reducing those friction points and enabling you to lower your cost to serve.
Thanks, Jackie. Now, Belinda's asked, do you integrate with Xplan standard fields, including IPS?
Yes, so our open API we are releasing in Q1 next year. So we will hope to have integrations, and we're completely open to be integrating with Xplan, and we have had conversations and we're hoping to move forward there. So that's where we're at in terms of integration with Xplan.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Now, look, Gerardo's asked, look, from your experience, do you find clients engage better talking goals rather than dollars?
Yeah, we've found from our research as well as our own clients that talking goals is the value that consumers place. So they don't want to outperform a market by a percentage. They want you to help them achieve the tangible outcome that they're seeking to achieve. So whether or not that's helping them to reach their retirement goal, buying a boat, buying their first home, investing in property, these are the tangible outcomes that the client's trying to achieve, not outperforming markets.
Okay, great. Now, Triona's asked, what other tech do you integrate with, which you kind of touched on with Xplan? This is what we're after, but we also need a client portal.
Yeah, so our tech has client portal and advice, and we basically, with our open API in Q1 next year, we'll be able to integrate with other technologies. So that's where we're at. So that will happen in Q1 next year.
Okay, terrific. And Alex has asked, look, where are we at in terms of tech development timeline with providing strategy option suggestions based on the fact finder information that you insert?
Yeah, so our from our perspective, in terms of strategy options, I'm just going to interpret this either in a more automated fashion where you're leveraging like technologies like machine learning that is then providing predictive elements around strategy options, like that optimization piece, versus the way in which our technology is currently doing it, which is taking client data. It's driven by the advisor to then provide and model those advice strategies. So there's two kind of elements to that. There's future roadmap, which is where we'll start leveraging machine learning that provides more predictive strategy options. But today it's driven by the advisor, but there is some optimization pieces that sit within that around scenario modeling. But yeah, that's basically taking client fact find data and it flows directly into the modeling tool. So there's never any rekeying of client data.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jackie. Now, look, I've got a question for you. Just with Michelle Levy's QAR final report due on the 16th of December, we kind of know what a lot of her recommendations are. Now, how do you think her recommendations will impact advice tech innovation?
Yeah, I think it's going to help propel the industry forward. I'm so excited, and I'm a big advocate of Michelle's because I have worked with her in understanding what digital advice is and helping provide submissions, etc., to help articulate what digital advice is in the proposed recommendations. This is going to help reduce the barriers for the industry, but more so for innovation. Innovation will be able to deliver advice through these more interactive digital means, and so it will be easier for clients to access more affordable, scalable advice.
Fantastic. Look, and where do you see the next 5 years for tech innovation in Australia?
Yeah. So I really see it in terms of how I've sort of described it in this, the levels of automation that will happen.
Yeah.
There will never be the removal of the financial advisor. This is why I feel like the hybrid model is the model that's the most successful. It's been the most successful as we've seen a lot of robo models in the US. They've got a very different model around, they're very investment focused, but every time a client goes through a digital journey, they need to know that there's another human on the other end, because humans need another human to validate their thinking. So having advisors is fundamental, and will always be part of this hybrid model, which I'm a big advocate for. And that's how our technology has been designed. So I really see technology utilizing industry 4.0 type technologies that are innovating in other industries like the machine learning aspects and blockchain and those sorts of technologies will help us propel forward. But even like avatars, being able to deliver advice through an avatar, if you've got simple advice strategies like your simple rebalance or contributions, these can be done through an avatar, phone chat, and a pure digital experience. So yeah, we'll definitely see this continue to evolve, but it's also being aware and ensuring your business model is going to be able to adapt these new technologies, because they're going to enhance the way in which you deliver advice, but it's going to be in a new realm and a new way. So it's opening up your thinking to what's certainly going to happen over this next 5 years.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, look, Justin's just asked, popped a question in around how many, I guess, consumers are benefiting from your solution at the moment, and how many advisors. I don't know if you want to share all your details with us, but look, you've been around a few years and obviously evolving and expanding. Do you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, so we've got a number of licensees now using the platform. So we've got licensees that have mandated our technology. We've also built features like when we've had digital, they've asked for, can we export the SOA to Word? So we've gone and built that. Then when all the cybersecurity aspects happened around the RI case, they've gone, we can't have our statements of advice being put into Word anymore. Let's keep it in digital, where it gets sent to the client portal. They use multi-factor authentication to log in, see the data securely, see their statement of advice, digitally sign off on it, use other multi-factor authentication to sign off. So we're now seeing with our clients, the real benefit, especially around cyber, in using client portal technology, between sharing of information, which is highly sensitive financial information of clients, between, in a secure environment. So not using email anymore, they're just purely using, our technology plus the client portal. So we've got a plethora of clients using this technology, and also end consumers, their end clients actually using the portal.
Okay, great. Look, I think that's just about it. Actually, Daniel's asked what's your experience with Insignia, but maybe we'll take that one offline. Because we will just keep that one. But look, if anyone has any questions for Jackie, please get in touch with her and her team. Any more questions? We'll be obviously sharing this presentation post today's webinar on our website, and you'll be receiving your CPD certificate. So I really want to thank Jackie for her time today and sharing the AI, well, the digital story, but also AI, you know, and the leaps and bounds they're having within the digital advice space. And also thank you all for joining us. I hope you have a lovely day, everyone. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Jackie and her team.
Thanks everyone for your time.
Thanks, Jackie. Bye.